Operating the Courts of Heaven by Robert Henderson, continuing with chapter 3. Levels of courts. The other important thing that is Joshua the high priest is told that he will have the charge of the courts of heaven. Notice that it is courts plural. This is significant. Even on earth there are varying levels and types of courts that decide issues. There are small claims courts, criminal courts, civil courts, divorce courts, city courts, district courts, all the way up to the Supreme Court within my nation of America. All these courts have a different function and jurisdiction. These courts function within the sphere that has been granted to them. In heaven, there are many different courts that operate. Everyone is not recognized or allowed to operate in all courts. Our operation is in the courts of heaven is determined by the measurement of rule or jurisdiction we have been given. For instance, there are only a handful of attorneys that can present cases in the Supreme Court of the United States. If an attorney that is not recognized comes before the Supreme Court, he or she will not be allowed to function there. They'll be escorted out or even not allowed in. We must realize this, or we can get ourselves in major trouble by trying to operate in a jurisdiction of heaven that we have not been granted. When we do this, we open ourselves up to satanic assault and backlash. We have stepped outside our realm, and our lives and the lives of those joined to us could be put in jeopardy. I will talk more about this in another chapter. The thrones of grace. The good news is that there is a court we can operate in as believers that is accessible for all of us all. It is called the throne of grace. Hebrews 4:16 tells us about this court. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Hebrews 4:16. Everything we deal with on a personal or family level can be brought to the throne of grace. At this throne, in this court, we can obtain mercy and find grace to help in our time of need. I function in this court setting on a regular basis. The first time I functioned in this court was on behalf of my son Adam. Adam had gone through a very difficult time. He had been married and had a baby with a girl that he decided he didn't want to be in ministry with him. They were youth pastors in the northwest part of our nation, and they were very effective in this ministry. Through a series of events, they moved back to where they had both grown up. She became involved with her old friends and her family. The result was she left Adam and took the baby with her. Adam was not without fault or blame, but nothing warranted this kind of decision being made. The result was divorce that separated Adam from everything he loved. He didn't want the divorce, but he was powerless to stop it. This caused Adam to go into a deep place of depression. I tried everything over the course of the next couple of years to get him out of it. Nothing worked. He would go to work from 3 p.m. until 11 p.m. every day, then come home, go to his room, and play online video games all night. This is his way of dealing with the pain and loss that he had suffered. I would try and talk to him, encourage him, and motivate him to come out of this place. There would be no response from him. He wasn't mean or nasty. It was just lifeless. In addition to everything I have mentioned, I prayed vigilantly for Adam every day. My attitude towards him in this situation was that brute force and prayer would get the job done. This is my attitude in prayer about everything. I figured if it didn't move, it just needed more effort and time put into it. I didn't understand that if something hasn't moved after much prayer, there is a legal reason for it. The devil has a legal right to withstand me. The only thing that will bring an answer in removing this legal right that the devil has to resist us. Please understand that I do believe in persevering prayer. I also have come to a belief that revealed strategies will make us more effective than just praying with more force and doing time in prayer. After 2 years of praying and seeing absolutely no results, I began to get an understanding of operating in the courts of heaven and coming before his throne of grace. One morning, as I was seeking the Lord and spending time with him, the Lord said, "Take Adam before my courts." I had never done anything like this before, but I was very open to try. I wasn't dealing with a national issue or global concern. I was dealing with a personal issue, my own son. I didn't need to be before a court in heaven that had jurisdiction over what would happen in nations. All I needed to do was to be before his throne of grace and find mercy and grace for Adam in this time. I began by simply approaching his throne of grace with boldness. We are told that because of who Jesus is and what he has done, we can approach his throne with absolute confidence. Hebrews 4:14-16 tells us just some of the things that are working on our behalf before his throne of grace. Seeing that when we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our confession, for we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all the points tempted as we were, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in the time of need. Hebrews 4:14-16.